All right, aloha, friends. Welcome to another episode of Game Time with the Goss. I'm Brian Goss with GM Sports Media, and today I'm joined here by my good buddy Nolan Ruth, Parker County Godfather, play-by-play man for Texan Live, and Rivals.com beat writer for the Baylor Bears. Good to see you, brother. I'm going to start with some of last week's games. The game I was covering. I was still keeping an eye on this game, and it made me think of you. And I just wanted to get your thoughts of what were you thinking about. But I was keeping track of that Aledo Ryan game, and the streak almost ended after 117 district games. I imagine you were keeping up with it, second by second. Just what was going through your mind?
It's almost ended a few times. And I thought for sure Friday was going to be it. I thought for sure it was going to be it. And I thought to myself because I was in Springtown watching the Porcupines play Decatur, and I was thinking to myself, I always say that the two games I never want to see is I never want to see Aledo lose in the playoffs. I never want to be there when it happens, and I don't want to be there when this district streak comes to an end. So I was kind of torn. Part of me was like, I can get this off my chest. I don't have to worry about the next district loss and being there, and I'm not there tonight. Like, let's get it over with. But at the same time, I wanted it to, still wanted Aledo to win. And matter of fact, Springtown Decatur was actually done. That game was over, and I was in the car, and I listened on the radio broadcast the rest of the way when Haas took the game winning touchdown. I think it was 56 yards. So I mean, yeah, that there was a little bit of excitement in my car right at that moment. From what I heard though, it just sounds like Aledo just came out sluggish. Um, I don't like this term, but I mean, you can consider it kind of a trap game or a hangover game. Ryan's a really good team, and that's not a team that you can kind of just stroll in and expect to beat right off the bat. So, I think I'm not in the locker room, so I can't speak for it, but I think that may have played a part in it, just with Aledo kind of taking it lightly. Maybe have gone in, you know, uh, little cocky, but again, not in the locker room, so I can't speak to that. But they did it. They won, and they're district champs again.
Yeah, pulled it out 25-19, 118 straight district wins in a row dating back to '07. And like you said, district champs again, 16th straight season as district champs. Um, but yeah, it's funny because I was looking through the streak and all the games, and it's really hasn't been close at all. It's ended maybe a couple times, but on the larger scale, I think it was like maybe 9 games that have been decided by single digits, and this Ryan game was really just the third time I think a team had a lead in the fourth quarter. So um, just very dominating fashion. But I would think that this streak, you look at all levels, high school, college, pros, any sport. This has to be like one of the greatest streaks of all time, right?
Oh, there's no question about this. I mean, about that. I mean, we don't see this at any other level in any other sport. I mean, this is an unprecedented thing that is happening in this small little town in Texas. That no one had ever heard of until Buchanan strolls into town. So this is. I mean, I'm glad to be a part of it. Number one, you see my jersey hanging behind me. Uh, it's just incredible. I mean, and I can't speak enough about the hard work that goes into it, and those kids are putting in day in and day out. To keep it alive and to just keep that winning culture. Um, yeah, you don't hear about this anywhere else in the world. I would say, even the best soccer teams lose a match here and there at home, or they don't win the league one year, right? I mean, you could measure any sport, any league, and what's happening in Aledo is, I think, the most unprecedented thing in sports history. I'll go that far. Yeah, I think this is the most unprecedented thing in sports history.
Yeah, I mean, I just think of like UConn women's and Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak, OU's win streak in football, just right up there. But Yeah, but I was wondering your take. Is this? I mean, it's good to see them have some adversity and able to win there with under 2 minutes because that's kind of what you want to see when you play some of these good teams in the playoffs. Um, Now they're heading into their bye week. I mean, was that a good thing for Aledo to have that type of game and learn from those mistakes, or is it kind of make them a little more vulnerable in the playoffs?
I think this was a good thing. Again, I hate this term, but I'm going to use it again. I think earlier this season they had a bit of a hangover game against Justin Northwest, who currently sits at number 2 in that district. And they had just beaten Geyer on a field goal as time expires. They come home for the district opener against Justin Northwest, and I thought they came out sluggish and pretty sloppy. And I thought Justin Northwest had every opportunity to take down Aledo in that game. I think it was good. They usually wake up after that. Because right after that Justin Northwest game, Aledo just rolled right through, especially against the Colony, who was coming off a win over Ryan. All eyes kind of focused in on that Aledo the Colony game, and Aledo just steamrolled them. So yeah, I think they're going to come out a lot stronger, especially with this bye week. Um, I know they had a couple injury issues, and so this will give them a chance to get healthy again before it faces Brewer. And I know they're going to be a heavy favorite against Brewer, but I can tell you right now, they don't like us. Brewer does not like Aledo, and it's kind of reciprocated the other way as well. So that's the closest thing Aledo has to a true rivalry. So yeah, I expect Brewer to come out and hit Aledo right in the mouth. This is their Super Bowl. They're not going to the playoffs. They've been waiting all year for this game. Next Friday, not this coming Friday. So I expect Aledo to get a nice little push from Brewer going into the playoffs. And I think the Ryan game bye week and then the Brewer game, I think that is a perfect 3-week stretch to go into the postseason with.
Talking with Nolan Ruth, he'll be on the call for Texan Live this Friday. Saginaw and the Colony. Currently Friday. We're supposed to get some weather, so that game might be pushed back to Thursday. But just your early takes about that game. We know Saginaw is really fighting, dying for a win, and the Colony's still in the playoff mix. What's your early takes on that game?
I'll tell you this right now, and I've seen it happen. I was a part of a team that kind of got one of those trap games, and thankfully we escaped from it with a win. When a team is winless and they've only got 2 games left, that is the most dangerous team to face because they are fighting for pride and they're fighting for their lives, and they just want to go out on a good note, and they have nothing to lose. So they're going to throw everything they have at you in a last ditch attempt to get a win. And so I don't think the Colony can take Saginaw lying down. I don't give Saginaw much of a fighting chance in this one. But weirder things have happened, and this is currently a district that's really turned upside down, especially with the Colony beating Denton Ryan. I think that was the game that really messed everything up in this district because we have Justin Northwest in this district. They still have to face Centennial and Ryan. Burleson Centennial lost to both Ryan and Aledo, so they're trying to fight for that third place spot, but they still haven't played Northwest yet. But they did beat the Colony. The Colony beats Ryan, loses to the other 3, Northwest, Aledo, and Centennial. Like, this is just a weird year in District 3-5A Division 1. It's I don't know who's going to make the playoffs because there's a chance that Northwest loses these next 2 games to Centennial and Ryan. That creates a massive tiebreaker between 4 teams for the last 3 spots, assuming the Colony does beat Saginaw on Friday. There's a good chance that Northwest runs the table and just shocks everybody, and that creates more trouble right there at the bottom for the last 2 spots. So the Colony finds themselves right in that mix. They're gonna need help though, and actually, as a matter of fact, it all comes down to Justin Northwest. If Northwest runs the table, that creates the tiebreaker right there with Centennial, Ryan, and the Colony, which we were talking about before we started the show, and the Colony is actually trailing in that, and so they need a big favor from who's Ryan playing this week? I believe it's Brewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Brewer. So I mean, I mean, again, stranger things have happened, but I mean, the Colony needs some help, and if Brewer somehow takes down Denton Ryan, then the Colony is looking at a playoff spot. But yeah, this is going to be a good one. I think Saginaw is going to throw everything they have at the Colony just for the sake of getting a win, just for pride. And the Colony is going to try to, I think, run up the score and get some point differential, or at least try to look somewhat impressive. Not that it'll help much, but we'll see.
Going back to last week, I think Aledo ended up being the game of the night in Parker County, but probably entering the week, it was probably Decatur Springtown, and you got to go out to that game. Decatur edged the Springtown out 23-17, but what are your takes from that game, and any any sort of moral victories for Springtown?
I'm going to be blunt. No. Matter of fact, I left Porcupine Stadium pretty disappointed. Not in the atmosphere. The atmosphere completely lived up to what I expected. Those two towns can't stand each other, and when they meet on the football field, it's a big game. That place was packed, and I loved that. The atmosphere was great. It obviously came down to one possession. I didn't see a lot of urgency from Springtown. I didn't think that they went into that game or really played that game with the passion and the heart that they should have, especially in a rivalry game like this. And not just that, but one that is probably going to determine the district championship. I mean, Decatur is probably going to be district champions now, and Springtown could have been the one to do that if they had pulled it off, especially in the fourth quarter. They were driving late. They had a chance. I mean, they were driving late, and Decatur had dominated time of possession. Decatur ruled that clock all game long, and I didn't see any urgency in Springtown to score quickly. They were taking their time. They didn't want to leave Decatur time. The only problem with that is they're down by 9. So it's a 2-possession game. So, I mean, in my mind, I was thinking you got to score. And I just didn't see the urgency from them. So as far as moral victories go, no. I think Springtown was actually probably handed a golden opportunity here. And I don't think they took advantage of it. I will say they looked good, though. They did look good. The talent's there. Their defense is incredible, especially with the running game. They swarm into the ball. I think they're going to make some serious noise in the playoffs when no one expected them to. This was a team that was really slept on at the beginning of the year and wasn't expected to do much. And now here they are and finishing second in district, and they were 6 points away from being district champions. So they looked good. Decatur is Decatur. We knew they were going to be good coming into the season, so I'm actually very impressed that Springtown hung with them, especially because Decatur was up 10-0 pretty quickly to start the game, and Springtown just hung right with them. So, I mean, I was impressed. I mean, I enjoyed the football. Obviously, I enjoy a rivalry game, and I think Springtown performed well. I just don't think that they played with the urgency and passion that you want to out of a rivalry game for a district championship. And so I was a little disappointed in that. So not really any moral victories, but they did look good.
We're 9 weeks in now, and you've covered 20-25 games, high school football games. Outside of Aledo and maybe even Brock, just who's the one team that you've seen in person that you like that could tell you, okay, they're going to make a deep run to the state championship game?
Bowler, absolutely. I got to see them week 1 against Peaster, and I thought week 1 they did come out kind of slow, and Peaster hung with them. Peaster, who by the way is looking pretty good and looking like they can sneak into the playoffs. Man, those boys are big for a 2A school. Those boys are big, and their quarterback is pretty accurate. Their running back is fast. They're physical. I really like the Toller Rattlers, and they're not even Parker County. So I mean, coming from me, that's a big deal. And the other one's got to be Millsap, man. This one is Parker County, and they're on a run that I didn't even see coming, and I know that their head coach Jake Johnson didn't see coming. I got to see them play against Comanche, and I went in knowing that Millsap could win the game, could pull it off and beat Comanche. But I actually said to Jake Johnson at the beginning of the season, I said, I'm coming to your game against Comanche. You're going to win. That's all I said. And so I went up to Jake Johnson after the game against Comanche. I said, I told you you're going to win this game. He said, you're right. You called it. And now they've beaten Dublin. They beat Eastland. And now they got a matchup with Jacksboro on Friday, which I think might still be on Friday. I got to check with coach and see. Maybe it's been moved. But they got a matchup this week that is probably for the district championship, because after this week, all they got is Merkel. And I expect them to beat Merkel pretty easily. So this is it, man. I mean, Millsap is undefeated in district, coming in, going on to face Jacksboro, and so this is the big one. And I really wish I could be there, but I'm not going to be able to be there, obviously, because of the Colony and Saginaw. But man, they're going to make some noise, and the only problem with them in the playoffs is that they're going to have to run into Gunner, and it's almost always going to be in the second round. So that's really the big reason you haven't heard Millsap, make much noise in the playoffs. But, I fully expect them to be a playoff team. And if they could beat Jacksboro, they avoid Gunner, at least until the third round, I think. So maybe it's the quarterfinal. But yeah, I mean, they can make some noise. It's there. And I think they're early, actually. This is a team that I didn't expect to do much this year at the beginning of the season. And look at me. I'm wrong again. I mean, I'm having a really, really bad year with my predictions. And I was wrong about Millsap, but I'm happy that I was wrong about Millsap because they're doing good and I love to see it.
Yeah, you mentioned Tolar. They were close last year, state semifinalist. And yeah, Millsap, this is a big week for them. I think Jacksboro is still undefeated overall, so huge game for that district championship as well. Talking with Nolan Ruth, he's the beat writer for Rivals.com, Baylor Bears, and play-by-play with Texan Live. Where we'll kind of backtrack to volleyball. You got to call on Texan Live last night, Burleson at Aledo, which non-district game, kind of a playoff warm-up for Aledo. Burleson won't be going to the postseason, but yeah, Aledo district champs in 5-5A, number one seed. I mean, what could you take away from that game? I know it's under an hour, so I don't know how much you could take.
Yeah, the game was over in 56 minutes. 25-14, 25-7, 25-8. So yeah, we were out of there pretty quick. I will say I did expect a bigger fight from Burleson, knowing that their season was going to end. I kind of and they did. They had some really good rallies. In the first set, and then they made Aledo work for every single point they had. I mean, nothing came easy for Aledo. So very impressed with Burleson. Unfortunately, their season is going to end. Burleson was very young, I did notice on the roster, and with a lot of their playmakers though. So I think the future is bright for them. But for Aledo, man, I'm telling you, I mean, you take Vivian Parker off the floor, and they're still that good. I mean, we're talking about probably the best outside hitter Aledo's seen in I don't know how long. She's going to Missouri. Take her off the floor, and they're still that good. I mean, I could list off a bunch of people. Kinley Evans, who's really burst onto the scene. Haley Lowe at middle blocker, man. I mean, she is a force to be reckoned with. Ava Redding, who leads the team in assists, but also aces. She's the best server they've got. Just they dominated, and I think that this is a volleyball program that has really needed this kind of run for a long time. And so when they lost their district opener to Northwest, I know it kind of flipped the switch, and they just said, "Hey, we're not going to lose another game," and they haven't. They're on a 12-game winning streak now, including the last 11 district games. And interesting fact, 17 consecutive sets. They have not lost a set in 17 sets as of last night. And that's awesome. That's incredible. They have one more warm up on Friday with Boswell. I'm sure Coach Gay will try to get some other people in. There wasn't a lot of movement until late in the third set when they were already well in hand, about to win. I didn't see a lot of bench players come on. It was pretty much the main core right there playing last night. But I think they're ready. I think that was Burleson didn't put up a lot of points, but that was a good little warm up to stay loose and make some adjustments before the playoffs. And I expect it to be the same with Boswell.
Yeah, that'll be a nice warm-up match. Boswell, district champs in 3-6A. So, and Aledo looks like Aledo will get Fort Worth Northside in the opening round, probably Tuesday. Going back to football, you know, again, mentioned you're writing for the Baylor Bears this year. Um, another game coming up this week. What's the season been like? Who do they got this week? And is there still chance for a bowl game?
I think there's a chance for a bowl game. Matter of fact, I think it's very doable. The problem is one of their wins is to Long Island, who's an FCS program, so that's not going to count towards getting them to a bowl game, unfortunately. So they have to actually win 7 games, which that's the problem in my opinion with scheduling an FCS team. There's still a chance. I think that they can. These remaining games are very winnable. I think it's not going to be easy. And they got Iowa State this week, who is, after a really, really bad start to the year, has really come on strong, a lot like Oklahoma State, who Baylor luckily avoids this season. That it's very possible. It all comes down to the offensive line. The offensive line has got to either it's got to be able to protect the pocket more for Blake Shapen at quarterback. It's got to be able to get the push so Richard Reese and Dominic Richardson can get loose on their runs and open up the running game. Running game is the key to Baylor's success, but unfortunately they can't get it done. So what Dave Aranda and their offense coordinator, Coach Grimes, what they're trying to do is they're trying to open up the passing game more so that it opens up the run game. They're trying to come out and throw early instead of set up the run early. And and Blake Shapen is doing a lot better. The passing game was really, really good against this past week. I thought they looked a lot better. Their defense needs to tighten up a little bit too. They can be pretty inconsistent. They can get 3 punts in a row and then all of a sudden give up an 85-yard drive, and then give up another 60-yard drive after that, and then get 2 more 3-and-outs. I think the defense needs some consistency. Again, the rest of the schedule though is very winnable, and they can pull it off. It's there for them. It's there for the taking. I don't personally see it happening, but it's possible. It's definitely possible, and I think if they come together right, which apparently Dave Aranda says they're doing better and better each week, and I kind of see it. It's not impossible. We'll their best shot probably is either Shreveport or Fort Worth for their bowl game.
All right, I'll let you get out on this. Pulling out the red carpet for you, buddy. Take as long as you want. I see the hat there. Texas Rangers going to the World Series game, home field advantage. Game 2 against the Diamondbacks Friday and Saturday. Go for it, man. What are you feeling, man?
Man, the last time this happened, I was in 7th grade. 7th grade. I'm about to turn 21 in 2 months. This has been a long time coming. And at that time I wasn't the fan I am now, watching every single game that I grew into, right? I was still a young kid. I remember where I was in the infamous Game 6. I remember where I was in the infamous Game 7. And I remember it hurt. It hurt. We took solace in the Mavs winning the championship that year, but I wanted the World Series. And so, man, to make it back there and more importantly, to take down Houston while doing it, man, that is just, that was the cherry on top, man. Watching Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve hang their heads and walk off the field like that was the cherry on top. I got to give respect to them, though. The Astros are a heck of a baseball team, and, it's a rivalry, so they're going to get a lot of hate. You're not going to get a lot of hate coming from me. That I give them a lot of respect, and I've been telling everyone who's been asking me, right before the ALCS, they said, who would you rather face? Would you rather face Houston or would you rather face Minnesota? And, I said for the chance, for the odds of winning, give me Minnesota. But, you can't you haven't won anything yet unless you take down Goliath, and that's what we did. We got to the pinnacle. We took down the reigning champs and the ones who have been a thorn in our side for the past 10 years, and we got past them, and we're going to the World Series, and for once it's coming to Arlington, not Houston, and I love that. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be at a single World Series game, but I can't wait to be looking on TV and just watch that ballpark just packed to the roof with Ranger fans screaming and singing Creed, and I mean cheering for every time Adolis Garcia walks up to the plate. Got to give a shout out to my Aledo man, Cody Bradford, first Aledo Bearcat to ever appear in a World Series. This is just awesome. Like I'm so stoked, and it was an emotional moment right there when that last out was made. If you follow me on any social media, you saw it. I posted it. My dad and I got to share a moment right there after the final out, and that was real special. So we're here. We weren't supposed to be here 2 years ago. We lost 102 games, and now we're in the freaking World Series. I love it, man. Bring on the Diamondbacks. I'm ready for it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's game one on Friday in Arlington. Hey, man, I appreciate you always hopping on, and always good to talk to you. And keep up the good work.
Thank you, brother. I always enjoy coming on. Thanks for having me again.
All right, that's Nolan Ruth. You can follow him on Twitter at Real Nolan Ruth. Uh, he'll be on the call for Texan Live, Saginaw and the Colony Friday night, and also be covering Baylor Bears for Rivals.com. For Matty Cawley and GM Sports Media, I'm Brian Gossett. Another episode of Game Time with the Goss. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Yes, sir.